Hey everybody, I'm Jason Truding, member of So Percussion. I host this Brooklyn Bound podcast, and I'm very excited to talk to two members of the band Momentum who are going to be on the show December 13th. So welcome, Grady Tesh and Joy Hansen. How are y'all?
Thank you. We're doing really great. Excited to be on here.
Yeah. Equally excited.
Yay, okay, equally. So then I don't know who to ask the first question to, because usually one person is more excited than the other, but this feels well, as I was saying before we push record, these have been just really fun to talk to folks and get to know more about where you all are coming from as musicians. So Momentum was wonderful to learn about. Grady, I think you sent us some links about the band. And I've never seen you all live, so I'm gonna learn more about the band in December, but it's been great to listen to yeah, great to listen to the things you've sent. Actually, before we get to Momentum, I'm gonna pull back, and maybe what I ask of all folks on this show are kind of like, let's kind of zoom out and tell just a little bit of the story of how you came to music, how you came to do what you do. And Joy, how about can we start with you? What is your path into music making from young Joy till now?
Sure. So, I feel pretty lucky to have been raised in a musical household. My father is a jazz saxophonist, and from a very early age, I was just used to hearing him practicing, in the night and the day. He's also a band director by day, but would frequently play gigs um, when he was not band directing. And he had a really big passion for music and would play tons of different styles of music for me and my brother and sister when we were growing up. So from a very early age, like I just knew that I loved music. And apparently when I was 7, I told my mom I wanted to be a singer when I grew up. I don't remember
Yes.
saying that, but apparently that's what I said. And yeah, I took voice lessons focusing in jazz at the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music in Park Slope. I'm a Queens native, but we went there when I was starting at 12. Um,
Amazing.
then when I went to college, I was in an oldies band. I was never really a music major, but it was something that I always loved doing on
For
the
you,
side.
Joy, in sorry for the Zoom awkward cutoff vibe, but in for you, what was an oldies band in college? I want to get the
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, because it's probably right. Like I'm thinking, like when I was growing up, oldies was like what my dad listened to, right? So it was like the 50s and 60s. So like, are
Yeah,
we talking about like the 80s and 90s? What are we talking about?
yeah, that's funny. We were really into like I would say 70s and some 60s, mostly 70s oldie
Cool.
band stuff. Like we did MJ covers. We did stuff like, I mean, I guess there was some 90s too. We did Smooth, we did, Killing Me Softly, but stuff that wasn't contemporary.
Not the Lauryn Hill version, but the Roberta Flack version.
Well, actually, we did the Lauryn Hill version.
Okay, cool.
But I love the Roberta Flack version. Um,
Awesome. Okay, great.
yeah. And then when I went to grad school at NYU, I kind of just continued, even though I was a journalism major, I continued to play in bands and kind of discovered songwriting during that time. And I guess ever since then, I've been leaning more into focusing on music and making music.
Very
So
cool.
that's kind of the long and short of it.
No, that was a great, yeah. That was wonderfully concise, but a lot of cool information in there. Actually, it's so cool. You went to Brooklyn Conservatory of Music growing up. Like, so Brooklyn Bound so just made a partnership with the Brooklyn Conservatory. We're gonna start doing some shows over there as well.
Oh,
The first one coming in the spring. Yeah, we've done some shows over there before, but and worked with some folks, from Brooklyn Conservatory, but it seems like such a cool school, such a cool scene.
yeah, really, really fun environment. At the time, my dad's friend, Taliba Donna Cumberbatch, she was the voice workshop leader She actually passed away last year, sadly, but
Oh,
she was my first vocal mentor, and I learned a lot from her.
oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And are you still in the city? Are you still in Queens or in
I
uh
am living in Park Slope. I'm actually like a
nice.
15-minute walk from the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thanks for that background. And Grady, what's your situation? How did small Grady get, become musician Grady?
Small Grady, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Young Grady to younger Grady.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
or rather more immature Grady. Um, yeah. I yeah, I mean, I think not unlike Joy, like my household was very like I heard a lot of Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, and I actually don't really much remember other music happening in my house. But yeah,
Only Johnny Cash and Willie
a
Nelson.
lot of Johnny Cash, a lot of Willie Nelson, who I
Yeah.
both love. But you know, yeah, I think, but I was exposed. I definitely was like encouraged to do music and learn. And I remember even as a kid, I played glockenspiel. As a kid, I remember being in a glockenspiel class, and
Nice, yeah.
that's my first musical memory is like playing glockenspiel in this class. But you know, little did I know that was gonna be my career for the rest of my
Yeah.
life. But
You pushed through it. That sounds like a rough class, actually. Just
oh yeah,
glockenspiel.
it was really rough. No, definitely, definitely. And then I had 2 years as a recorder. I mean, I'm a survivor. That's what I
Yeah.
am. But yeah, you know, the thing was actually in elementary school I was doing classical percussion, and I was like enjoying it, and then I think that the moment for me though was that my brother, my parents kind of just asked us, "Do you guys want to learn an instrument?" And my brother had seen a saxophone. He didn't know what it sounded like, but he just saw one, and he liked what it looked like. So he asked to learn how to play saxophone, and so he got a saxophone teacher, and he started learning saxophone, and then his saxophone teacher was kind of like you know, he was kind of like one of the main people who kind of ran the jazz community in where I grew up in Utah. And so he sent my brother home some CDs, and he sent him this one CD that's called "Mercy, Mercy, Mercy," Cannonball Adderley, and which is a great album. And I must have been in fifth grade, and you know, my brother brought home that album, started playing it, and I remember hearing that album and just being like, "What is going on?" I need to know what's going on. I love this so much. Like I gotta figure out how to do this. Like, you know, I think this is the thing. Like this is just so exciting. And I love that. That's actually a little story about that album because it's kind of like live at the club. And then I later found out that actually that album wasn't recorded at a club. It was actually recorded at a studio, and they just had an open bar, and they just like invited all these people to come to this like place, and they just live recorded
That's
through like an open bar.
awesome.
So the audience is very inebriated.
Yeah.
But like they're not like inebriated in the way they're just talking to each other and there's like background music. They're like inebriated in the way that like they're just so into the music, and so there's
Yeah.
you know, people are screaming and they go, "Oh, hey man," and you know, and
Yeah.
all these, and it's, you know, so you can just like feel like, wow, I just feel like the music is, you know, you feel the connection of how the music's reaching people. And then I played drum set for a couple of years, and I think I was just too gangly or something. It wasn't for me, and but I was doing classical percussion. So, and then I think I heard like a Cal Jader record actually, and I heard the vibes being played in jazz,
Hmm.
and then so, you know, it kind of inspired me to get into it. And yeah, and then so I remember convincing my parents to play the vibes was really hard because like getting a vibraphone is an investment,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
not easy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think like every percussionist has like some story of how they somehow got an instrument, but mine was that like in middle school, like there wasn't a vibraphone at the middle school, so what I would do, I knew there was a vibes at the high school, so I'd have my parents before school drop me off at the high school, and
Oh,
and then I'll go into the band room before middle school started, and then I would practice, and and then I would and then before his middle school started, I would scooter over from the high school to the middle school. And
it's committed. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think I did that for maybe like 6 months, and then
Yeah.
they're
And
like, okay,
you said this is in Utah. You were growing up in,
in Utah, yeah, in Utah.
yeah. Where in Utah?
Oh, Park City, Utah.
Killer. Okay. I was wondering, man, it's funny. So just did a gig out there finally.
Oh
I
no
love
way.
Park City. I'm old. I learned to ski in my 30s.
Oh,
But I've been skiing maybe for 15 years now and love it. And yeah, we've tricked ourselves into this wonderful situation where we ski every January in Park City, and it's just mind blowing.
oh,
It's amazing,
That's
beautiful
awesome.
place, and but we finally did a show out there last April, which was pretty cool. So I can picture. Well, actually, the high school has this amazing auditorium. That's where we did the show, I think.
You guys must have done it at the Echo Center, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's amazing. No, yeah, I played at the Echo Center a bunch of times growing up in high
yeah.
school and stuff. And
Very cool.
it's
Very,
it
very
is
cool.
yeah, it's really beautiful auditorium, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome, man. Yeah, actually, Joy and I we went on a little band adventure and we went skiing last season.
Oh, we could just talk about that the rest of it. Where did you go?
Yeah, totally unrelated, but
Joy, did you grow up skiing, or maybe less so
Absolutely
in New York?
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
This wasn't like the queen's pastime.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, when we went skiing last December, I hadn't gone skiing before that in like 7 years.
Oh,
And the last time I went skiing before that, I came down the slope on a stretcher
oh
because
no,
I guess I like fumbled and just like collapsed into a tree, and
no.
I was okay. I was like, they were worried I had a concussion at first. I was okay. My head did hurt for a little bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was the last time I'd gone skiing beforehand. And I will say that Brady was very much a fan of the immersion method. I was telling him, listen, I haven't gone skiing in 7 years. Like, we might need to go hit the bunny slopes for a second so I can just like reacclimate, like, and like I was courageous, I will say, to have had that be your last experience.
Yeah.
I was definitely ready to go again and like not let skiing defeat me. But I was like, maybe we should just acclimate and just hit the bunny slope. And
That makes
Grady was
sense
like,
to me.
"Oh, dude, you'll be fine, man. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Let's just go to the slope." Was it fine, Grady? It was a harrowing experience.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I have to. Where were you?
I don't know where we were.
we went
Yeah.
to oh man, we were in East Coast. It must have been oh no, sorry. Actually, that trip actually was that was in a Brighton Resort
Nice.
in Utah.
You know what's so funny? Brighton is the one that I've never been to out there. Like Solitude and Brighton are kind of connected, right?
Yeah, they're like right next to each other.
Yeah. So I can kind of picture where you were. And so Joy, you're saying he didn't take you just out on the let's get to know this place again. He took you to the like
I think we
experts
hit a
only. What are
blue
we talking
slope
about?
first, and like there was just a moment of sheer terror at the top of that hill where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And then like Grady realized the grim reality of the situation. And they were just because like I didn't even know how to like fall properly,
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't like my legs could have splayed all out. I think there was one moment where like he was trying to right me up and like we were right next to like the side of the cliff. And if we'd gone down, like I would not have gotten back up. Like there was just, I didn't know how to get back up. It was hard. It was really
I feel
hard.
like there was definitely a moment on the top of the lift when we got, and I think Joy, you took one or two turns, and I like quote unquote turns, but and I think I kind of realized like, oh, this isn't gonna like a learn to ski hill. This is about to be a rescue mission.
Oh my goodness. But you've still decided to make music together still. That says a lot about, I think.
Yeah, I didn't like ambush him in the in
Oh.
the in the woods of the ski slope.
That says a lot about Joy. That's what.
I think that's what I'm realizing. It may say more about Joy than it does about you, Grady.
although I will say I feel like in Joy's defense, I feel like there's actually a lot of musical situations. Not that I'm more adventurous musically, but I feel like sometimes I'll be in the pen. I'll be like, guys, we need to do this section in 5/4, and the groove needs to be like, and the bass line needs to be in 3. And yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I can instigate those situations sometimes. And Joy,
You're there for each other. Is what you're saying. You're there for each other. Yeah.
Joy's,
Well, I cut you off in your story. So how did you get from Utah to from Park City to New York? What was your trajectory there?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I mean, gosh, yeah, what was it? Yeah, well, I mean, growing up in Park City, I was kind of like thought like maybe I was going to do environmental science, and then I looked into it and I realized that I just liked hiking and I liked being in the mountains. I actually didn't like science, so and I just I loved playing music, and like that's really what I spent all my time doing anyways. And yeah, I think I looked at other places. Actually, it was funny. Like my final decision, when I was finally going to make a decision on going to college, was either going to go to NYU or this other place called Snow College, which is in this little town called Ephraim, Utah, which Ephraim probably has like at maximum it has 1,000 people in that town. Like it's not even barely a town. And I thought like either I'd go to NYU and, you know, explore and study in, you know, in the city and do that, and or I'd be in Ephraim, Utah, and I just thought if I was in Ephraim, my imagination was like there's no distraction, so I could just practice, you know, 12 hours a day, because there is literally actually nothing to do there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I think the thing that really was the shift for me, and I could talk about this more because I actually could talk about, and Joy can vouch for this, I can talk about this for hours, is Stefan Harris, who was teaching at NYU, and he was my hero in high school. I mean, he was the
I didn't realize he taught at NYU, I think.
Yeah, he did. He taught for many years. I mean, actually, I really lucked out because he was teaching at NYU when I attended, and I got to study with him for the full 4 years of my undergrad, and then as soon as I left, actually, he went to MSM.
That's what I picture. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I was teaching at Rutgers, and
cool.
yeah. So, but you know, so I got to study with him for 4 years, and but that was the real, you know, I think for me it was like this is my hero, and I you know, I'm gonna study with him.
Man, that's amazing. He's one of those musicians. Way back. I mean, like maybe 10 years ago or something or more. So did a project with do you know that is a percussion ensemble, Maboom? Do you know it like, so it was Max Roach back in the day had a percussion ensemble.
Oh,
like so
yes.
more like jazz players, but also classical players. It was kind of like a mix of folks. Eli Fountain.
That's right. And Stefan was in that group.
Was that?
Stefan was in that group, right?
Totally. And so he at that time, yeah, Stefan was in that group, and we did some co-commissioning, made some pieces together. Anthony Davis wrote a piece, and but like a bunch of cool stuff. But just seeing, like, I don't understand how he can hold mallets that are that big and that kind of soft, like, but then make the sound he makes. It's kind of like amazing. It doesn't, nobody else can do that kind of, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, how are you doing this? It's very impressive, very mind-boggling.
No, Stefan's sound. I mean, Stefan's sound is everything.
Yeah. I don't quite understand. That's what I love about it. So then Joy and Grady, you all met at NYU. Is that the connection?
We met at this jazz club called Ruby about 5 years ago. So the band owner there, or the owner of the club, heard me sing. I sat in there, another friend was playing, and he told me, hey, you know, I know this person named Grady. I would love to put you guys on a night together. And that's how that started. It was not actually NYU, even though we'd both gone to NYU.
Oh.
But we just started playing this weekly show on Thursday nights, and we'd pick our brains for any of the covers that the jazz standards we had in common, which back then it was not that many. How many times did we do Someday My Prince Will Come? A lot.
And were you playing duo? Or did you have a band?
No, we had two other musicians with us, Perrin Grace and Sebastian Chiriboga. Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And then go ahead, Grady.
No, it was a blast. I mean, no, that was definitely like, I think of Joy and I, it's funny, like back then, I think if we'd been like, because, you know, we were just playing this gig, and, you know, it was like kind of session, just like a jazz club, and, you know, jazz club, like weekly gig. But yeah, I think if anyone had told us like, oh, you guys would be doing this, you know, you guys would be, you know, doing music in the way that we're doing it now, I think I was like, probably not. We at the time, I think we'd have been like, yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah. You play Someday My Prince Will Come in 3/4 and 4/4 and 5/4, every different way. Every different way.
Actually, I would say that Grady wasn't quite as obsessed with odd time signatures at that time.
Got it. Okay, cool. That's newer exploration.
It's a recent fetish. Yeah.
So you said this was 5 years ago y'all met, and then so tell me about Momentum. What's the background of the band, and how long has Momentum been playing together?
Yeah. Well, so Momentum, it's interesting. I'm generally the band leader. Although we do definitely like really do a collective and you know, make decisions together. But I think for myself as a musician in New York, like it was a situation where it was like a rotating cast of musicians coming in and out, and I think it was like kind of this classic situation where, maybe play 2 or 3 gigs with the same musicians, but then someone new, and so like it was cool. It was always exciting to play with new people, but it was like more a thing of like really wanting to create something more cohesive and together, and which and if any musicians in New York know that's also not easy to find those people to do that with. It's easier said than done. Like, oh, just find the people that you're gonna play with and play with them. Like, well, it's actually not that simple. But so anyways, so yeah, so it was like a rotating thing, like, and I don't know, kind of did different things. And for a while, it was like for a while it was like a jazz quartet. It was like, well, actually this was kind of pre-joy. It was like a guitar vibes, bass drums, and then we did something with a string quartet for a while, and which was blast. And it was, it was definitely like a musical journey. But for myself in it's 2022, so 2021, I kind of got this feeling of like, what, I want to create something that's I want to create something where really united, like a group of musicians who really share a vision and share the space, and really share the music, and and really get something deeper out of it, create a deeper experience, and with and I think and go through the things that, like, the challenges that it is, I'm sure, being a solo percussion, that, like, I'm sure you guys have are more experienced than anyone about creating like a group dynamic, and going through things. But so yeah, I think the 2021 was really that year to really figure out who's in the band. And I think at the beginning of the year, like, Joy and I had played for years, and I just felt like, yeah, there was just something, and I was just like, what, just Joy, it just felt right. I was like, man, Joy has to be in this band. And so I think, yeah, so Joy and I started playing a lot together, and then yeah, and then there was some other musicians. There was a bass player, drummer, kind of switched in and out. And but then it was towards the end of 2021 that we like really found like, okay, this is it. Just when things click. And it just clicked. Like, I was just like, wow, this is the group. And and it just kind of felt like I don't know. I like to think of it like a basketball team. It just felt like felt like there was the center forward and the. Actually, I don't know the basketball positions, but
I was gonna say, you just put two together, but that's cool.
yeah. Center and forward. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, I love it.
Whatever. Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe and
Shaquille James and Magic Johnson, all the best.
And Tom Brady and
there you go. That's really funny. But so this in the band right now, so there's bass and drums.
Yeah, so there's really a core of us, which is bass player is this bass player named Jared Peckstead. Drummer is named Kobe Epsede, and then Joy and I. And then we have like some people who will play with us. We have like different keyboard players who will sit in on gigs, and sometimes we have like a rapper come in, and so we've different people come out, but the four of us we're the ones who really make the music, make the decisions, Yeah.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And that's amazing. I mean, actually, I'd love to get into what you're playing on Brooklyn Bound, but one question towards the end a little bit has been like, well, it's interesting you all kind of came together during the pandemic. That'll be cool to talk about, because that's kind of special and weird in some ways, it's awesome. Well, so tell me, or if you don't know, that's cool too, but what can we expect in hearing the set, seeing the set, December 13th? Do you all know kind of sort of what you may be doing? New stuff, old stuff? What's the vibe?
Yeah.
Do you know? Or has Grady not let you in on the set list yet? What do you think it should be?
Wait, who's talking?
Anybody can talk. I just realized Grady had been he had the microphone last. So Joy, do you have any idea? Like, if you maybe just paint a picture on what we may see on December 13th.
Okay, well, I think it's going to be a fun mix of the originals that we've developed together. At that point, Grady, will our single be out yet?
Yes, it will be, actually.
Our second single.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah, you know. So
Amazing.
we released a single so far. You've probably heard it. It's called Asina. Um, then we have another one called Scream, which I think might be coming out that week, Grady. Is that
Yeah, it's going to
correct?
come out on December 6th. So we
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be great. Looking forward to that. We have about maybe, you think it's like 10 originals at this point?
it's a good amount. I mean, for like all of the originals are of this year. They're all
Mm.
circa 2022. So yeah, I mean, I think at least 10. Yeah.
Around there,
Mm.
around there. Um, and I think it's fun the way that we've developed each piece. It's a very collaborative process, like during rehearsal. Um, Often Grady may come with like a melodic harmonic idea. I'll add some lyrics. Jared and Kobe kind of lend um, their artistic flair in kind of limbing out, well, how should we take this? Like, what direction should we go? Should we switch up the rhythms here? Or like, should we add these hits, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But the arrangements are a very collaborative process. Um, and I like to think that the songs span a pretty wide range stylistically and just kind of where they take you emotionally, you know, like some songs are more mellow, some are just bursting with energy. Thinking of Fun Size. But then beyond that, we've worked a couple of reworkings of standards into our repertoire, but standards done in a pretty unexpected way.
Mm.
So I won't say too much and you'll be surprised, Jason, but we've got some Aretha Franklin in there. We've got some John Coltrane in there. Um, Grady, what else?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Who did Save Your Love for Me? That's we got.
Nancy Wilson,
Yeah, Nancy
Cannonball
Wilson.
Adderley.
Yeah, yeah.
When
Yeah.
you say, or maybe this is a question for either of you, Joy, when you were saying it kind of packs, you feel like not only kind of like mood wise, but also stylistically, you're going many different directions. I know it's like the word, like I hate when it's hard when I get asked this question, you know, but like just stylistically for someone who doesn't know the band, where are some different places that you're going stylistically? Like, yeah, what are some of those things that you're stitching together?
Um, that is a great question. I really hate answering this question. I'm
Yeah, I
going to
know,
pass
I
it
know.
on to Grady. Grady, your turn.
Yeah.
Stitching together Joy, Kobe, and
Yeah, yeah, perfect, perfect, perfect.
stylings. No, I mean, yeah, I think we're all like very eclectic listeners, you know, and yeah, we draw from a lot of different things. I mean, you know, I think a lot of different inspirations. Yeah, I mean, just to give you like, I don't know, just like some ideas, like Joy mentioned the song Fun Size. I was just playing on the marimba one day, and I got to study with this great you actually might know her, this great percussionist, Valerie Naranjo.
Yeah, sure. At NYU. Yeah, yeah.
You know
She's
Valerie,
amazing.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I got to study with her for a little bit, studying the geo.
Yeah.
And you know, and so I was just looking over some of the stuff she was doing, and I was playing some stuff on marimba, and just like that really, you know, beautiful dance, those melodies, and then so this is just random, just to describe. But then and then I went to a show of Bad Plus, and then I heard this bass line, and I was like, oh man, what if like, and then I thought of like this bass line in like kind of the style of like a Geely like balafone groove, and so I started playing something, and then like this like 11/4 groove came out of it,
Mm.
and then you know, and then I brought in this groove, and then Joy like, you know, had this like beautiful lyrics over it, and then Kobe was like started playing this kind of like backbeat, like you know, it's like, and then he started, you know, he started playing like a
Mm.
backbeat over it,
Yeah.
and I don't know, just like all kind of came together, you know, and because like, you know, and like yeah, I feel like Kobe, like he has like some great backbeat stuff he plays, and
Mm.
so I feel like it's interesting, like, you know, like that's like just like one example of one song, how like that
Yeah.
these different ideas came together,
No, perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect. I mean, even some. I've been out of the jazz scene for a while. I was in my undergrad, actually. I did a double major. I was like a jazz and classical major, and that lasted very short and went
Oh.
whatever. You don't want to hear me swing anymore. But like if I, like someone who doesn't know that when you're talking about Cannonball Adderley or when you mentioned doing a Coltrane thing in addition to Aretha Franklin, like it's like kind of like, yeah, is there going to be a backbeat or are we just swinging or are we talking about like when we talk about standards, are we like, so it feels like it's like, yeah, drawing from all of those things. And then it sounds to me like there's been an infatuation with these mixed meters recently, which feels really, really cool. So you're adding that vibe into the mix.
I mean,
Infatuation, fetish, what other words are we gonna?
Amazing.
Licentiousness.
Deep love.
I
Very
mean, Joy
cool.
and I talked about this the other day, but I think we all push each other. I think, that's something really cool because like, I mean, there's so much music that Joy has showed me that I'm just like, wow, I've never heard this.
Yeah. That's amazing. That seems that's what makes for successful groups. I think when it keeps it interesting, right? I think at least I don't know. Speaking from my standpoint, that's why I think everybody's interested in and still being in is because we, keep bouncing ideas off each other. Well, I'm very I love it. There's a new single coming out that we can celebrate that night too. That's amazing. Well, let me ask you, I usually, wrap up these conversations with a couple of the similar questions for folks. So I mentioned, you all in some ways, this band kind of at least solidified during the pandemic. And in a lot of ways, starting to have these conversations during the pandemic, there's maybe not a more intense time to be having these or to just be thinking about what it means to be an artist, what it means to be a musician, during the time of the pandemic, during the crazy political times we're in, social, cultural time. Like there's so many things that are kind of pushing on us societally, but us as musicians, right? So I'm interested in how you two or the band kind of have been thinking about this moment, and has this last 2 years for you all, has it changed the way you think of your role as artists or musicians, or has music been a place that you've gone for kind of stability and comfort, or like what kind of role, in a bigger picture heavy kind of way, how have you been thinking about this moment, or how has that affected you as musicians? I'm going to pass it to Grady first this time.
Yeah, thanks. That's a really good question. I feel like, I mean, I think for myself personally, like the pandemic was a moment of reflection, and and I think like that's bled into life itself and into everyday life, and I mean, something I feel like I've been thinking about a lot more, since it, and it's what it's kind of spurred in myself is thinking about what's our role as musicians in society and what are we giving, and what's ultimately like, I think beyond like, okay, this is fun, I love playing music, I love sharing, but like, like what is really my contribution, what's my contribution to life, what's my contribution to the world, and what do I want that to look like, and how do I want to be as a musician, and how do I want to be as a human being, and and what type of things do I want to accomplish and do and share, and and I feel like like I think that's allowed me, and I think because of the pandemic slowed everything down, where it was like you weren't just going, but it was like it was a moment where it was like, okay, well, I've been doing all these things, what are the things that I want to do, what are the things that are good, what are the things that I want to change, and and I guess just to finish off, like I think the thing that I've been thinking about is this quote from Art Blakey. He said, jazz and music generally, I feel like in culture generally, it's there to brush the dust off everyday life, and so I feel like I've been trying to besides just playing and being in this group and having a great time making really great music, is like deeper down, like like I want to play in a way that's gonna inspire people and whoever's listening, whoever's in the audience is going to feel like stronger in their own life, or inspired. And I think we've all walked away from performances where we felt like lighter, or felt inspired, and just feeling like, okay, there's something something deeper about what's going on in life itself. And yeah. that's
No, I love it. Thanks for sharing that Art Blakey quote. That's beautiful. I'd never heard that before. That feels like a great touchstone for, yeah, why we're doing what we're doing, kind of. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Joy, where's your head been at these last couple years, or how has it affected you musically?
I think in kind of taking the opportunity to perform away for so long, we just didn't have that outlet. Um, Kind of similarly to Grady, like I just kind of realized, wow, it is such a privilege and a passion to be able to kind of share your soul in the moment with audience members. And that's such a powerful exchange, and it's sacred. Like I do think that musicians are like the modern shamans of our time. Like what you can do and the energy that you can bring into a room by performing with intention and speaking from your heart, and putting it all out there on the stage, whether you are whatever you're feeling in the moment. Is it uh, vulnerable, excited, exasperated? Like that's really the great call and directive of jazz, right? To express your humanity as authentically as you can on the stage, and give people the freedom and the boldness to be a little bit more themselves in expressing who you are. Um, we lost that. We lost all of that during the pandemic. And it really gave me a renewed sense of purpose, being able to come back from that absence of performing and be able to share with audience members in a genuine way, and to reflect my joy for what I do, no pun intended with my name, but
Yeah.
yeah, but just express like, wow, I love doing this. I love being here. And I think that um, people want to see people doing what they want and living in their purpose. And if that is music, then do it to your hearts, to the fullness of that, that you can do it. And I think that it's such a beautiful gift to impart a little bit of that authentic passion for what you love to your audience members. So the pandemic really kind of um, clarified for me how important and how beautiful that is. Like, I guess even like, there doesn't even have to be another thing. Like whatever you want to do in your music, that's great and that's fine. Whatever platform you want to use it to express is amazing. But I think like the joy of music in and of itself is entire justification for performing.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's so great. I think like one thing I'm realizing hearing both of you speak, and what's kind of built into your genre, I think, is the in the momentness of the music making. Not to not to whatever stereotype the jazz scene or whatever, but I feel like the way you talk about it is that you do have this in the moment ness to being on stage, which is something I think for I don't know, so it comes from a lot of different lineages, but the kind of classical music lineage we come from kind of takes a lot of that out of the scene. You know what I mean? The ability to make choices in the moment. And I think we've been really looking for more and more ways to be in the moment. Actually, I saw a show last night in Philly. I was so happy to just see music live and see musicians making these choices in the moment with their songs that were so you could feel the moment, which is so integral and so important, I think. So I love hearing you both talk about that. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. It sounds like a good lead up to a So Percussion Momentum collab. Wink, wink.
There you go. I like those winks. Totally. Yeah. But I know we've only had a chance to work in the jazz. Do you all know this band Kneebody? I went to school with those guys. I used to play with those guys back in my jazz times. So early on, that was a really fun kind of collab that we were able to do. Yeah, totally. We're looking for those things. It also leads to my last question. which has been, I mean, you know, starting to do these conversations during the pandemic, the kind of Zoomness of these conversations, and like, you know, so was doing Brooklyn Bound in like this virtual way. You know, we were all trying to hold on to like, what does it mean to like put out music in the, it's so funny to look back at those times already, even just a few months later, and be like, that, you know, man, we were grasping at any way to like hear music, you know what I mean? The virtualness of it all. But it made me think a lot about the before times of sharing space, sharing, you know, energy with an audience. And that's come back, you know, in a lot of ways. It still feels really fresh to be playing shows now, in a really great way. You know, audiences feel like they're just, you know, loving sound in a room with people. But you know, so it's made me think about like, oh, what are these kind of like really memorable concerts, you know, either, and that can either be because like it was just like, you know, the coolest audience packed into the coolest space, or for us sometimes it's that something went horribly awry on stage, you know, that we were, you know, dealing with, you know, shattering a flower pot on stage when we, or whatever, you know, kind of crazy shit we deal with. So I wonder if you each have a memory or two of, and whether this is momentum based or whether this is just an experience you all have had on stage, that feels like a really, you know, important or fun or, you know, wild concert experience that you could share with us. Joy, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, we were actually just in Philly on Tuesday, and we played at Chris's Jazz Cafe.
Awesome.
And it was really fun. We invited a couple local musicians to play the show with us. We rehearsed day of. They were really amazing. Um, but I will say we had a moment during that song, Fun Size, where it was just the energy was unleashed. I don't know what happened to us. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened to us, but there was just like a giant whoosh of light. And then next thing you know, like we were just all like ecstatically dancing, like just, you know, Kobe was drumming away. Grady picked up a tambourine, which I'd never seen before, and was just like ecstatically dancing and like playing this thing in 11. And it was just such a blissful moment. I was like, just like losing my mind, like swaying back and forth. And after that, we were all agreed, like we never had a moment quite like that on stage. Don't
Awesome.
know
I
what
love that
happened.
it just happened.
You kind of live for that. You just have no idea. You have no idea when, like, you know, the spirit moves, so to speak. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that just happened on Tuesday, and that's definitely going to be something that I won't forget.
Awesome. I love that. Thanks for sharing that one, Joy. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Grady, you want to take us out with the memory?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many. Oh gosh. Oh geez. Gee golly. I mean, oh gosh. I mean, yeah, what Joey was talking about. I mean, there are just so many. Yeah, there's so many beautiful moments. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think you know, it's so funny. Actually, one of my favorite just points in any set. Like often there's you know, it's sometimes it's fun just to like take a step back and I remember there was this one performance we did at this venue called Wild Birds, um, which is really it actually just closed, which is so sad, but great venue in Brooklyn, and then Jared and Joy they did You Stepped Out of a Dream, and they just did it as a duo, just bass and sing, and it was so beautiful. And there's this bass line that Joy came up with, which is so great. It's like doom doom doo 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 and then she sings and it's so beautiful. I just remember the room just got so quiet, and it was just like, you know, it was just one of those things where you're just like sitting there and it's, you know, and it could be kind of a loud room sometimes. It was just like dead silence, and it's just, you know, hearing, and yeah, I don't know, those types of moments are just so beautiful to be a part of. And you know, I think like in those moments I just have so much appreciation because I'm just like, wow, I'm just around, I just feel so much appreciation to be around such amazing people creating beautiful things. And like, I don't, you know, just to be appreciated, like I'm not even playing, but I'm just like, this is
Yeah.
such a beautiful moment. I'm just happy to share the space with them right in that moment, you know. And yeah.
You have the best seat in the house in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Joy, I do just want to peg that it sounds to me like that bass line could have been in 5. I don't know what the thing
Oh
is.
my God. You know what? I will say that Grady,
It was
his
baseline, by the
mission
way.
has succeeded because I definitely think in 5. And I did not do
That's
that
great.
before meeting Grady. That
That's
is so
awesome.
funny that you caught that. That's hilarious.
That's
And I
actually,
came up with
I think I
that.
only said that baseline like 2 times, man. That's
Yeah.
I came up with that like just like in the shower.
All the best ideas, right?
That is so funny. So yes, now I can like think in 5 in my sleep because of Grady.
That's great. That's great. And possibly not die in some of the largest mountains in the US, you know? It's like a win-win.
Yeah, you know, we survived. We survived that.
I love it. We're going to talk more skiing when we see each other in December. Thanks for
Great.
taking the time to have this conversation. It's really, really cool to hear more about where y'all are coming from. And I'm so excited. The show is December 13th. It's at 8 p.m. It's mostly about getting together in our space. So anybody in Brooklyn or New York, come out. It's 20 Grand Avenue. Ring the buzzer for Suite 205 and you can hear music at 8 o'clock. But if you're not in the city and you want to, I think we're still streaming these on Facebook Live, if anybody still dares to go to Facebook, so you can check it out there. And I'm so pumped for this set, you all.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you in 3D in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Hey,
Thanks, Joy.
Jason, hey, quick question. Do you know oh yeah, sorry.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, did you meet Brett Hughes when you're out in Park
Yeah,
City?
for sure. Yeah. Was he your band director?
He was my percussion teacher. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Brett. We had if you're watching, that was it was an awesome show. And we got to play with some of his students on the show actually, which was really cool.
He's an amazing job with the programming.
Yeah,
Super.
Brett was great. Yeah, that was a memorable show for us, I have to say. All right, cool, you all. I'll see you soon.
All right. Take care, Jason. Bye.
Bye.